Yeah, it was crazy after you beat Ronan at the end of the campaign. It's like Galactus shows up, and I thought the next thing would be Thanos, but whatever.
I am inevitable.
Dance off, bro. Me and you.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Side Scheme. I am one of your hosts. I'm BananaCrapshoot. Not in my work vehicle here at home recording, which is odd. And with me, as sort of always, my perfectly balanced co-host, Tommy of Titan. Tommy, how are you?
I am well. How are you, Banana?
I'm doing pretty good. It's pretty exciting times in the world of Marvel Champions, and if you're not excited about what we're going to talk about tonight, then I know some dead card games you can go check out.
That's right. GTFO.
Yeah, but so I guess we'll start off. How you doing? What's new with you? What have you been playing?
I'm good, man. So I've been playing a whole variety of things. We've been playing some of our league games, which unfortunately Scott and I weren't able to finish because just life things came up specifically for me. We played a couple Galaxy's Most Wanted games when we realized we had no chance of finishing our league games, and also because some nights we had 3 people. We didn't want someone to have to sit out when we were doing league games. So and I even slipped in some Crisis Protocol with some other people in there. So, yeah, that's about it. Those are the things I've been playing.
Cool. Sounds good. Have you you guys been doing any Switch games lately? Did you get Monster Hunter Rise?
I have the demo for Monster Hunter, and I was about to buy it, but I've been on I think it's coming from Flesh and Blood with the new set of that and the hype that's getting me. But I've been on a Diablo 3 kick. So I've been playing that a lot on the Switch lately. I think Season 23 started Easter weekend, and I'm already like Paragon 4 something. So I'm like 419 or something like that. I'm pretty... I put some time in already.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds cool. So
yeah, it's a time sink.
I got you.
I love that game.
I played it on PC like shortly after it came out, and then I played it again like when it came out for PS4. But I never really got like into the seasons or the like anything more than running through the campaign a bunch of times.
Yeah.
So
yeah, there's a lot there, but
I know there's like rifts and stuff too, right? There's like weird stuff you can do.
Oh yeah, that's like the main thing.
All right, well, enough about video games. So the main thing we're here to talk about tonight is the new hotness in Marvel Champions, the new campaign box, Galaxy's Most Wanted. So we'll go through it a little bit, but like right off the top, what are some quick impressions you have on the box? Between the heroes, the villains, everything you've seen so far, because I know you haven't played through the whole campaign yet. So,
So my impressions, yeah, unfortunately, I've got like three different campaigns going at the same time because everybody, we have a 3-player campaign and I have 2 separate 2-player campaigns. But my first impressions hero-wise are it's just so good to get. Not that I'm over the Avengers or don't like the Avengers, but it's just good to get a new branding of team in here with Guardians of the Galaxy. It's a very fresh take. And both the heroes, Rocket and Groot, both feel thematic to me. They both feel like they have different avenues. Like I could see them operating in different ways in different aspects. Their signature kits are cool. I really like the way they're handling the allies this time. Are we going like full spoiler here? Like, am I allowed to reference things? Like, yeah, like any cars? All right, cool.
Yeah, you're good.
I love that they've got the neutral Rocket and neutral Groot allies, so they're not part of the 15. Because in one of our playthroughs of Galaxy's Most Wanted, Scott and I are playing Wanda and Quicksilver, and it just feels so bad when you draw that ally. You're just like, oh, it's just a resource. But and it's fine. It's whatever. It doesn't bother me that much. But I do like the fact that they've taken the ally out for these two specific heroes. I don't know if that's going to be a trend permanently, but it's a nice touch.
I almost think it should be like a trend permanently. I think hopefully this is like a thing they caught early on, probably with like the Spider-Woman, Captain Marvel stuff, that it's just a feels bad type of thing.
Yeah. I mean, the worst thing about Captain Marvel Hero is that you can't play her with Spider-Woman.
Right.
Because Spider-Woman is just not good if she can't play Captain Marvel.
Right. And that's really a shame. So maybe they don't do it for every hero, but the heroes where, they know they're like, hey, this is going to be a hero like in our plans. So yeah. So I don't know, but yeah. Do you have any quick thoughts on the villains?
So we're all in every campaign I'm in. We just beat the infiltrate the museum encounter. So I'll start with Badoon. I would say, actually, if you just want to go back and forth with Badoon with me first, I think that.
Yeah.
I like the Badoon. I thought it was great. We only played expert, so I don't have any normal experience, but it is not easy. Even the Badoon are not easy. The Stalwart spear is definitely a hurdle that cannot be ignored. If you plan on using any stun or confusion, obviously. I think that's a really nice hiccup to throw in, especially in the first villain, which, they're not, obviously something else at some point is going to have Stalwart on it. So it's nice to see that introduced, front and center early in the campaign. So that was something that stood out to me. There's plenty of minions. I like the space combat, the way they've illustrated that with the ship command modular set to give it that feel, which is really neat and unique. It just felt good. I mean, he applies a lot of pressure with that indirect damage that comes off that ship command, that environment card.
Yeah, the Badoon ship with the charge counters.
Yeah, it's really nice, and there's a lot of really interesting boost effects in the deck as well. Whether they're putting charge counters on that, or granting attacks overkill, or adding extra boost icons if it's a scheme or an attack or whatever it is, and it's just a really nice, well balanced encounter. I don't think it does like anything amazing. It doesn't have a ton of bells and whistles, but it's just a solid, challenging, fun encounter.
Yeah, that Stalwart keyword is it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it is.
But I mean, that's something that, like, so since pretty much Captain America came out, you could do the stun lock deck where you're pretty much playing solitaire and it's like non-interactive during the villain phase. So this is a great keyword to get around those cheese decks, like the Cheese Factory, where you have 13 to 17 different ways to stun the enemy.
Who would build something like that and try to ruin the game for the whole community?
Right. So that, I think it's a great keyword for the game that it exists, and definitely having it, the first scenario in standard or expert, you're going to see that because of the Drang 2 when revealed. So no matter what, you're going to deal with it, and it is. There's a bit of a learning curve with it for people that are used to just relying on those status effects all the time.
For sure.
But yeah, so I think Badoon, I pretty much agree with everything you said. I think I'm curious. I haven't played any of these outside of the campaign yet, so I'm curious how some of these will feel with different modular sets. Because like if you don't use Band of Badoon and you use something else, I'm curious how that makes the whole thing feel.
Yeah, because that feels pretty like integral to the way that played. I think it's a big modular set too. But I don't know. Is it 10 cards? 8 or 10?
Yeah, it's like 10 cards, I think. Yeah.
And then also the other thing that is interesting is, and again, I didn't read like the whole book or anything. We're taking it as it comes. But that Badoon Headhunter, and it seems like every time you kill him, you got to add more cards to the encounter deck for the next encounter. That's a really interesting setup as well. So that looks fun moving forward. But yeah, I think that the Badoon set, whatever that modular set is called, with all the minions in it, is definitely a solid set, but would be interesting to see what they do outside of that, or how that would function without them.
Yeah, I think it's just Band of Badoon.
And that, honestly, that's where most of those, I'm looking at it, I finally got to it in Hall of Heroes, that's where most of those boost abilities come into play. They all have a star. Every single one of those minions has a star ability.
Yeah, like the one gives attacks overkill, piercing, and ranged.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that seems good.
The grunt gets put into play with you. The lieutenant adds 2 boost icons for the activation. So I mean, Drang hitting a lieutenant is nasty. Yeah. When he's got 3 attack, and then he's getting a double. He's getting 2 more boost icons on top of the 3 you just pulled. So he's hitting you for a cool 8. Yeah, that whole set is pretty good. I'm pretty sure Zola loves this modular set, so that'll be fun too. Going back to like Zola and Mutagen and throwing in like these. I mean, there's a lot of minions because the Kree Militants one is basically all minions too. I think there's like 1 attachment. I guess you probably didn't get to that one yet, but
no, we're not there.
But that one too, and the collector one, the Menagerie, that one's all minions too. So like, all of them have a bunch of minions in them, except for like the artifacts. And that's one thing, it seems that the modular sets that we've gotten to this point that are more minion heavy seem to be the more difficult or the more challenging of the modular sets.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because sometimes I feel like when you get it, I don't know, I'm not speaking for everybody, but I know when me and Scott or John or the people that I play with play a lot, sometimes you're like holding your breath when you're flipping encounter cards, and the minion is like, oh, okay, well, I can deal with that. As long as it's not something bad happening right now, like I'm going to have a chance to deal with that minion before that minion does something, negative to me. It might have guard, it might have patrol. If it has quick strike or insight, obviously it's doing something immediately. But a lot of times when I see a minion or even a side scheme, I'm like, okay, well, we'll handle that. You know what I mean? It's not a treachery card that, creates an attack right now or an advance or, I don't know, an obligation or whatever it is that has an immediate impact during the villain phase. Sometimes I'm relieved to see a minion. I mean, of course, there's exceptions to that. Some of the minions are just too big to handle. But I would agree that some of the better modular sets or more difficult modular sets do include a lot of minions like Legions of Hydra, but I feel like that's a very unique set just because, as they're dying, they're kind of paying it forward, and you're gonna pay for it with more encounter cards, and you can't kill Madam Hydra and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Or do you have anything else on the Badoon you want to hit? I figure, since we're already on it, we'll go through like the villains that you've played to up to this point. We won't go any further than that, I don't think. And then we can.
I just wouldn't have much to say. I mean, I don't mind going to it. I just don't have a ton of input. The last thing I'll highlight is that don't underestimate that. I don't remember what it's called, but the symbol on the side schemes that add additional boost icons to cards, those can stack up and really put a hurting on you when you get that boost ability that gives it overkill, or you draw that advance or something like that. That's when those things are just going to be crippled.
Amplify is what that is called.
Amplify, yes.
It's a new icon that can show up. Do not
underestimate that. Do not let that get out of hand.
So for those of you that don't know, like we have the hazard and the acceleration like symbol that can show up on most commonly side schemes. There's a new one in this box called Amplify that adds one boost icon whenever boost cards are counted, like whenever you count up the icons. So it can get dirty for the villain. All right, so do you want to move on to... This is probably the most controversial scenario in the box. The collector infiltrate the museum. What has your experience with the collector been?
We had a lot of trouble. I had Scott here one night, and we had a lot of trouble. We tried to play with Rocket and Groot. Obviously not precons, because we like expert, and we hate not being able to deck build. So we never play the precons. So we immediately built 2 decks, and then we went into the campaign. We beat the Badoon in one shot, and then we went into the collector feeling pretty good. We had 5 credits going in, so we each bought some cards. I don't remember what cards we bought for that campaign. And the collector just slapped us up 3 times in a row. We could not. Our decks were not. And once you're an expert, you can't change it. And we just had. It was Groot leadership who was just running 7 allies, and it just was not happening. We were like, yeah, these allies are not good here. Those are basically resources in your hand, Scott. You can't use this. And even Rocket struggles at times because, I want to discard this tech to draw cards to get rid of restricted upgrades, and I can't reload things. It was not easy. We struggled mightily. So I do think that and that was our first attempt at infiltrate the museum. And I do think that there's a big time learning curve for this one. And I think that the community at large can do themselves a favor and learn a lot from you about this encounter. Because I think your play style goes into this guy really, really great. Specifically on expert mode, because Banana, what's the number one thing you try to do when you play this game?
Go full bore. I try to go fast.
Yeah, you just go face. You're just like, I don't care what's happening. I'm hitting the villain. You're going face. And I think that it is very important to keep his collection under control early. And the collection cards get added to it every time a card leaves play. So whether it's a minion's defeated, a side scheme's defeated, an ally's defeated, an upgrade is discarded, a support is discarded, those are all examples of something that would move from play to the collection. And if there is 5 per player there, you lose. And there's ways to get them out by spending 2 resources or exhausting a hero, and that's once per turn, per hero. So I think that it's important to keep that collection under control early as often as possible, and then flip him from stage 2 into 3 very early, because he has the forced interrupt, a when revealed of put the top card of each player's deck face up into the collection, place 1 threat on the main scheme for each card in the collection. So what we've been finding is there, once you get to a certain point in the game, he just is applying so much pressure that you can't afford to put that much threat on the scheme. It's only got 1 stage to the scheme, and the collection just gets out of hand because he's putting minions out, he's putting side schemes out, he's putting things out that you have to deal with.
Yep.
Let alone you're putting your own things out, and then at times he's discarding them. He even comes with a caught off guard in his encounter set. So he's going to discard your stuff. He's going to take it and make it his. So you can't underestimate him. You gotta control that collection, and you gotta flip him early so that he's not placing an insane amount of threat on the side or on the main scheme. And then you can kind of pace yourself and do what you have to do while you whittle down stage 3, or just continue to blast him. That's whatever's best case scenario at that point. But that would be my recommendation for the collector.
Yeah, I agree, and I think what you said about me going fast, it's from playing 10 months of Thor, right? So when we were playing a lot of heroic, when we didn't have a lot of scenarios, and I'm trying to smash Thor aggression in these heroic scenarios, I quickly found that wasting time to set up pretty much means I lose. So you'd learn how to smash the villain and slowly set up as you go, but you just got to prioritize things a little differently. And I think once people learn, like once that switch flips for people with the collector, I don't think it'll be as big of an issue as it has been to this point since the box came out. It's just he forces you to play the game differently than most players, especially casual players, have probably been playing the game since the game came out. So there's definitely a huge learning curve for people to adjust to the play style you need to use for the collector. But I think the points you made about flipping in them early and maintaining the collection are huge. Just burn that collector stage 2 if you're playing on expert as fast as possible. And then you can take a little more time on 3 if the board's not out of control. But most times you gotta burn through 3 as fast as possible too, before you die or get all your stuff taken. And allies, you can still play allies. You just got to play them differently. You can't be chump blocking with them all the time. You can, but you got to be smart about it. You got to know what's in the collection, what you can afford to lose, what you can get back. There's more layers to this scenario than most.
Yep, I think it's wonderful. I think it's like a masterpiece. It's honestly, just from the first 2 encounters you got. Between it's almost like a tease at what that stalwart keyword can do with the spear, because it is, it starts in play on expert, but you can discard it, round 1 if you want. It's kind of a big setback, but between that and then in the museum really devaluing your allies as blockers, it's like Boggs is assessing the meta and like countering us. I love it. I think it's beautiful. I think it's fabulous. It's what I want. I want challenge. I want to be forced to play in new ways. I want to be able to explore not just different cards, but just different decision trees and things like that we're going to see. And it's definitely given our group that so far.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, all right, we'll get to our kind of more of our final thoughts later. But yeah, that's all I had for the first collector. You got anything else?
That's I just want to say that the Beyonder's jacket is hilarious. That's in the artifact modular set. I think that's amazing.
Which
just
one?
that's an item that made it. From
yeah.
The Beyonder's blazer. That's here. Oh, cool. Because the Beyonder is just such a ridiculous character from, Secret Wars.
I like the shake weight that's in there.
Yeah, I know. That's the kind of thing I could just see Drax,
yeah,
rolling around with.
Yeah. All right. So, collector number 2, Escape the Museum. How have you found that scenario so far?
That we have not played yet in any of my 3 campaigns.
Oh, you haven't hit that one yet?
Nope, have not gotten there.
That one's a lot.
Started. We're on it in all of them, but we haven't started in any of them.
Okay. Well, I'll just say that one is a lot of fun with an alternate win condition that is very good. So I won't say too much. I don't want to spoil too much for you, but it is like how the collector one is hard. Like collector 2 is fun. Like to me,
okay.
It's just a different scenario. I mean, you have an alternate win condition you have to do to win the game. So I'll leave it at that.
I mean, just that alone sounds like a win to me. Just it keeps in perfect trend with everything happening.
Yeah. All right. So then we won't spend too much on that. Nebula, you obviously haven't got to yet. Nebula is hard. Nebula is fun. Nebula has a bunch of attachments, so it's kind of like you're playing against another player almost. That's kind of what it feels like. Nebula to me feels like a I'm playing against another player with like the attachments and stuff that are coming out, and just the way the encounter goes.
Well, I mean, if that leak's true, she could be your ally soon.
Yeah, and then I'll just touch on Ronan real quick because you haven't got Ronan. Ronan is an absolute buzzsaw. It is so brutal. I haven't beaten Ronan yet, so I went 0-3 against Ronan. I've gone through the campaign, and I got through Nebula, and I got to Ronan, and it's like in the expert campaign, like you lose to Ronan, you lose, right? So, but I've just replayed that scenario, and I lost every time so far with Rocket Aggression and Groot Justice. I played through, from start to Ronan, and Ronan ended me. It is really hard on expert, in my opinion. Sometimes like you're basically playing heroic the whole game because there's an environment that has a hazard symbol, and then you get stuff with surge. There's stuff with like double acceleration icons.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, like the whole set is just like imagine like it's like we know how hard the Kree Fanatic modular set is. This is just that expanded into a whole scenario that is just going to wreck your face. And I think you guys will enjoy it.
I do like getting my face wrecked. So
yeah. I mean, Stage 3 has Toughness and Retaliate 1, so with 4 attack and, four attack and 3 scheme and 25 health per player. So
oh my gosh.
Yeah, he is a unit.
Oh.
And then, so in Expert, he starts with the universal weapon. No, he doesn't. Oh, I thought which one? No, it's not. It's a side scheme. He starts with the side scheme, but the universal weapon gives him Stalwart. And you have to take 2 damage and do yourself an encounter card to get rid of it. And it gives +1 scheme, +1 attack. But it has a boost to attach to Ronan.
Oh, that's good.
So you're going to see it.
Yeah, no matter what.
Yeah.
Unless you're playing Wanda. She might just discard it.
Right. But yeah, so you're in for a good time once you get there. So I guess we kind of glossed over Rocket and Groot. I guess we
can go back and dig in. I got one more question. What have you been buying from the market?
Oh man, so the market I think is my least favorite part of the box, if I'm being honest. Like I bought the armor plating. Like I've been buying like stuff for the Milano. Like I bought the armor plating, but that's like, I think that's like 4 or something. I bought like a mounted laser, which I think cost 6. I wasn't too crazy about like the other ones that aren't attached to the Milano. I don't know. Like I guess they all do something, and they're all worth it. But I don't know. I guess I was expecting something different.
Yeah, I think like it's hard for me to value them all because I don't know the campaign well enough yet. But we kept being drawn to 2 of them, Scott and I, and probably because of something what to do with the heroes that we're playing. For me, the one that I wanted when I was playing Quicksilver, I got the Ardent Resolve one, which is a 5 cost. Hero action, ready a friendly character, and draw a card. So it's just like, well, if I'm playing Quicksilver, this card's amazing. So I just took that. I mean, 5 cost is expensive, but I mean, the card's amazing.
I mean, you can get that just off Drang, right? So I mean,
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think we got 6 points from Drang when we maxed him out and played him with the twins. And then Safeguard is kind of ubiquitous. Like I think everybody could use that. It's another 5 cost, but it's hero action. Give up the 2 friendly characters a tough status card, and then draw a card. And it's a 0 cost event.
Right.
So those were the 2 we were rolling with. Again, in a 2 character campaign, it's probably better than it would be if it was a 3 or 4 character campaign or a solo campaign. for that matter. But those were two that stood out to us. But I do like some of the Milano upgrades. It's just like, well, if I'm not using the Milano every game, or
Yeah.
I don't know how many I'm actually going to be using the Milano. Some of these get expensive though.
Yeah, I think 7 are the most expensive ones.
And then it gets to the point where it's like, I'd rather spend on really impactful cards rather than spending on a bunch of cheap cards that are going to kind of dilute my deck too.
Yeah, but a lot of those like 7-cost ones, like they get removed from the game after you use them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the payoff. So it's like you're going to pay for this really powerful one-time effect, and then it's gone. So I mean, I guess it's whatever you're looking for. I just wasn't crazy about the ones that I was seeing, so I was basically going for the Milano stuff. But I was playing, two-handed, so
Yeah.
that might be a little different.
Yeah, maybe.
All right, so which hero do you want to talk about first?
All of the games that I got to play were as Rocket, so I guess we'll talk about Rocket.
All right, so what do you think about Rocket? What is your favorite Rocket card?
My favorite Rocket card. I like a lot of his kit, but if I had to say on power alone, it would be the Schadenfreude.
The one that heals him every time he deals damage to an enemy?
Yeah, I think that is like extremely powerful with his kit specifically. But I think ultimately is he's just got a ton of synergy. I mean, he's really good at thwarting too. Surprisingly, with his 2 copies of I've Got a Plan, like he can get some work done in one turn with thwarting, and not to mention he's got the boots, the thruster boots for aerial and thwart.
That aerial really pays off too. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I know.
Eventually.
But I mean, Cybernetic Skeleton is a great card. Particle Cannon, Rocket Launcher, the pistols. I love Salvage. I was playing Salvage and using it to set up Hulk triggers just by putting the Rocket Launcher on top of my deck.
That's a good play. That's a good play.
Yeah, it was not bad. Just when in situations where, like, I already had 2 restricted weapons, I was like, well, I'll keep my Particle Cannon and my fully loaded pistols, and I'll get a good Hulk smash here. So I just think there's a ton of synergy there with the battery pack. The one card that I think is hard to use is Reload. I know it lets you like maximize your stuff in a tight window, but it still feels weird because it's like you're just accelerating when you're getting the value from everything.
So I think the best use of Reload is if you're going to play mean swings. That way you can still use the upgrades like for their actions, and you can get the bonus like damage off a mean swing.
Yeah, I can see that. I didn't actually get mean swing in there myself, but I was playing aggression. I was playing things like melee. I was just trying to smash face and draw cards. So I had a decent amount of events. He can run a pretty expensive curve because of the double salvage and get away with it. We're working on a leadership deck. I'm sure somebody else has already got one up there, but Scott and I were just texting back and forth about leadership Rocket. With a Tony Stark ally, just dropping upgrades on him for free, discarding upgrades with his alter ego to draw cards. Playing the suit on the 6-cost Groot ally to give him +2 health, playing team training to get him up to 7 health. Just making that Groot ally amazing. Flora and Fauna is a great card, really, really strong. Yeah, I mean, you got anything else on Rocket? I think he's awesome. I think he's good. He feels like Thor, so you got to like him a little bit in the sense that he wants to murder minions, but he draws a lot of cards, and he's way less durable.
Well, the thing is, he's not way less durable when you have the skeleton on him. Because he goes to 12 health then. So, I mean...
Yeah, but then you could say, well, what if Thor has his helmet?
Yeah, that's true. Thor has the helmet, so it's 19 plus endurance is 3, so you can have a 22 health Thor.
Yeah, Rocket caps out at 15 unless you're playing honorary event.
But still, I mean, 15 health is more than most people are going to get.
No, I think he's more durable than you would imagine. But
and then if you got the booster...
he's not Thor.
No, he's not Thor. But if you got the booster boots, that's giving him like -1 every time he takes damage. Like, yeah. So I think, like, I haven't had too much... Okay, so here's the thing. He's basically replaced Thor as, like, the board control aggro hero that, like, just kills all the minions. And he does it better than Thor. Like, Thor just has Lightning Strike. And Rocket has the rocket launcher, right, that can deal 2 damage to everything. And then he's got the pistols that he can just ping off dudes.
Yeah.
Plus his own attack.
He can divide it up. And, like, however... Like, he's got a lot more ability to divide that up in a comfortable way. And even if he's not dealing overkill damage, he can still benefit from that card draw. Right. So he's just very efficient at cleaning up minions.
And he's a better thwarter, and he comes with the same thwart card. They took Thor's Defender of the Nine Realms and put it on that event and called it Looking for Trouble.
I think there is one difference in the two, though. Security card engage play with it. Yeah, I think I think, and I don't remember exactly. I think the difference is this has to be from the main scheme to Looking for Trouble, and I think Thor's Defender of the Nine Realms is from any scheme.
You could be right. Yeah, just
I think that, and it's like that's like such a minor difference, but at least they did something.
Right.
Because I don't think it could be 2-threat. I don't think it would be playable if it would just remove 2-threat.
Right. So he doesn't have the hammer throw, right? But he has, I mean, the particle cannon deals 4 with overkill, right? And then, I mean, so he doesn't have like the same like big swing potential, but he has a lot more variety, and like he can still get there. It's just 3 different ways instead of like 1.
Yeah.
But I think he's basically dethroned Thor as like the ultimate aggro board control hero, and he does it a little better and a little more efficiently.
I think you just need to make a combo, like a Thor aggression and a Rocket aggression, and just make it, just call it the Sweet Rabbit.
The Sweet, yeah.
And
Sweet
just
Rabbit.
Go to town. Just melt the collector's face off before he adds it to his collection.
Yeah. Well, and the thing too with stuff like Into the Fray and Moment of Triumph, it's like Rocket can handle threat if he needs to, and he can keep himself alive, like with Moment of Triumph and stuff. And I don't know, Rocket is just, I mean, he's good. I don't know that he's like Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch and like Quicksilver good, but like he's right there. I mean, his kit is super synergistic, and like that German word that, you know, he's got that built-in heal that lasts until the end of the turn. So it's like anytime you're dealing damage, all you have to do is deal damage, and he's healing too. So I mean, he can go from 0 up to 12 like in a round almost.
Yeah, I feel 10 in a turn with that, no problem.
Yeah,
it's
and then if you're combining that with like Moment of Triumph and stuff, it's like he has plenty of survivability. But yeah, I think Rocket's really good. I think his precon isn't the best. I think Bug is an amazing aggression ally.
You have an obsession with Bug, my friend.
He's probably my favorite aggression ally right now. But yeah, like follow through is an alright card. I've been throwing like 1 or 2 in, but I'm not like in Rocket and Thor. I think it's cool, but I don't know that I'd really put it anywhere else. The hand cannon, the aggression upgrade, I had 2 in the Rocket deck when I was running through the campaign. I think I'd go down to 1.
Yeah, too many restricted. I think at that point.
All right, so we need to talk about Venom tonight at some point too. We got to squeeze that in, because I'm more excited for Venom than probably anything else since this game was announced. I still got a little bit of a chub over it, if I'm being honest. But so he comes with a basic upgrade called the side holster that gives +1. You can have an additional restricted weapon. So I think once that's out, then maybe hand cannon is more playable in Rocket. But Rocket's own weapons are just better, and those are the ones you want to play. But that's where I'm at with it.
Yep.
You got anything else on Rocket before we move into the Colossus?
I don't think so. I think we're good.
Have you played much Groot?
I've played alongside Groot.
You played, all right, so you know what's up. What do you think about Groot so far?
I think Groot's. I think there's more to Groot than what I originally saw when I looked at him. I mean that in a very, very good way. But I'm not like. I don't think he's quite as strong as Rocket, just because I feel like he's a little more fragile to pilot. Not so much. He's not as forgiving as Rocket. Like Rocket's kit is so synergistic; it doesn't matter what you draw when; it all just kind of works together well. We're in a very specific way. I don't know if I'm articulating any of this correctly, but what we found with Groot, and we've talked about it a lot, is, Groot's alter ego has growth spurt, which is its action plays 2 growth counters on him, and whenever he's dealt damage, it's a force interrupt that you have to remove growth counters from him and prevent damage. So when you flip the alter ego, you're essentially going to guarantee yourself 4 growth counters every time, because you get 4 when you flip down, and then beginning of next turn you get 2 when you flip down. Beginning of next turn you get 2 more. So that's going to be a 4 growth counter exchange for 1 flip, and then you have 2 copies of Fruition, which is a 0 cost action to give you 2 growth counters. So right there you got plenty of ways to stack your growth counters, but to really get value out of his events such as I Am Groot and I Am Groot, you really need to keep those growth counters on you, because those cards don't really do much unless you've got a healthy amount of growth counters on you. So 3 for hero action to remove threat from a scheme equal to the number of growth counters on Groot. Well, if you've only got 4, paying 3 to remove 4 threat is a terrible value. There's, all the cards in the Justice aspect are better than that. And then he also has I Am Groot for the attack. It's a 2 cost and it deals damage equal to the number of growth counters on Groot. These things are great, but you have to find a way to keep growth counters on Groot. So you need ways to prevent damage. You need ways to not get attacked. You need blockers, and all these things are specifically being addressed within the Galaxy's Most Wanted campaign box, where you have new keywords that say people are immune to stun. You have allies are going to go to the collection when you're blocking with them. So there's a lot of things that are going to be making it more difficult for you to prevent damage from landing on Groot. Because we thought initially, protection, or leadership with a bunch of small allies to just block for him. Mm-hmm. And then, if you get overwhelmed, he can block for himself with that 3 defense. And it worked. It worked good until we hit the collector, and it might be great outside of that. Maybe you could probably land a middle ground where you play some bigger allies and some smaller allies, and maybe that leadership deck would be really good. But really, at the end of the day, what we found was Groot is very has a couple bad turns, has a couple great turns, takes some damage, loses some growth counters, builds back up, but he's never he's not a consistently strong contributor to the team from what we saw. He's a very, I show up, once every 2 to 3 turns, sometimes twice in a row.
Yeah.
What was your experience?
He's finicky. That's what I'll say. He's very finicky. Yeah. So you're dead on. So you want to maximize. You need to maximize the growth counters to get the most out of Groot. The problem is it is a forced interrupt. So anytime he takes damage, you have to remove growth counters. It's not an option. And even if you're playing protection and you're doing stuff like desperate defense, well, if you still take damage, you still gotta remove the growth counters, right? So, I mean, that kind of sucks that it's a forced interrupt. I almost wish it wasn't a forced interrupt, so that you had the option of taking the growth counters off or not. I mean, I don't know if
it'd be too good.
Yeah, he'd probably be too good, and thematically, I guess it doesn't make that much sense. The growth counters, he's like building up that bark armor around him. But yeah, the way I describe it is he's finicky. I don't think protection is his best aspect. I think he's really, really nice in justice. I think it just rounds him out, because since he is a little more finicky and he has those turns where he doesn't do a whole lot, having him play Injustice, then he's at least contributing something most of the time, is what I found. So when I played through the campaign, I played Groot Justice, and it worked all right. I still don't think I've figured out the best lines of play with Groot, just because he is a little finicky. But I think we'll get there maybe. But he's not as good as Rocket, I would agree. He doesn't have the same upside. But I mean, he's fine.
I think Justice could be a good. I see what you're saying with Justice though, because I think if you were playing in a situation where you were the hero that was a lot of flipping back and forth, and you were playing Justice, so you could kind of make that threat differential up, it'd be a lot easier to make sure you have growth counters, because if you're going back and forth, you're constantly adding 4. Yeah. You're basically adding 2 every turn at that point. Yeah. So if you flip every turn, which is great as long as you can manage the threat, and I think that a lot of times when people are double flipping down, if in a 2-player game or even a 3-player game, if 2 heroes are an alter ego, it's that's a dangerous proposition to make. So
always when advance shows
up. You got to be careful. Yeah, that's always when advance shows up. That's always when stuff. So, but yeah, I could see that working. I could see Justice being a good pair for him. I like that.
All right, so I guess before we move on to Venom quick, and then we'll hit some questions. Your initial final thoughts on the Galaxy's Most Wanted as a campaign, as a product, difficulty, how the campaign works that you've seen so far.
I am thrilled. I love the difficulty. I know that I think it's way too hard. This is what I think the game should have always kind of been closer to this. I think that normal should be a good place for newer players. It should be a good place for people to deck build and experiment more and play a wider variety of heroes. And then I think expert should be a place where you bring finely tuned decks, more powerful heroes that have been found to be more efficient. And then even with that, I still think that if you're winning all the time, is that really that fun? I'd rather be challenged than win all the time. So I'm thrilled with it. The other thing that is kind of needs to be mentioned from the difficulty perspective is, at this point, there's got to be some level of, for lack of a better term, power creep in the game. Galaxy's Most Wanted might not be the best box for someone to buy if it's the first purchase they make. You have to buy the core because you need the standard, you need the expert, you need all that stuff. So buy the core, start there, and then start expanding from there. But you can't assume that they're not going to take into account all the other heroes, all the other aspect cards, that have come out previously. The decks now are just more efficient and more powerful than they ever have been in the past, just from an option perspective. You have options of taking the most powerful X amount of cards for your deck. So your deck is just better. You might have better character pairings even. you might just be a better player from playing the game longer. So at some point, the difficulty has to just naturally increase, or else the game isn't going to ever be fun anymore, because our decks are just going to be so powerful. We're going to just start winning quicker and quicker and quicker, and then people are going to be looking for more and more and more. And Heroic's not fun. I'd rather play Expert and make it challenging. So I'm thrilled with where this landed from a difficulty perspective. As far as theme, I think they've nailed the first two encounters. I think both of the heroes are huge successes. And as far as innovation goes, I think that everything has been incredible, and I'm really looking forward to playing the last three encounters.
Well said. I just want to say, if you guys can hear that noise in the background, we have pretty much torrential downpours at my house right now, and it's thunderstorming. So if there's any background noise, that's what it is. I basically agree.
I just thought you were in a constant state of fart.
Yeah, yeah. So the Galaxy's Most Wanted box, I'm very happy with it overall. I think the heroes are both good. Rocket especially shines for me. The encounters, I'm happy with the encounters, how they've played. I'm happy with the difficulty as someone that plays on Expert. I can see where even on Standard how the difficulty has creeped up, and for the more casual players that just get out and play with their kids, how this could be a little off-putting. But I mean, it's basically since the game came out, there's been a section of the community that's played Arkham or played Lord of the Rings that is used to a certain challenge when they're playing, and they haven't gotten that to this point. So, and we can't assume that the whole life cycle of this game is going to be a Rhino and Claw difficulty, right? So at some point they have to make more interesting, more difficult villains to keep people engaged long term. And now 18 months after the game release, we finally got that with Galaxy's Most Wanted, where we have a more difficult set of scenarios, basically from start to finish, versus what we've seen in this game's life cycle to this point. So I think the people that were complaining that the game's been too easy, if there's some of those same people are complaining that it's too hard now. So I mean, at some point, to me, it just looks like people like to complain. But I think they needed to get to this point for the longevity of the game to keep players engaged long term, if that makes sense.
Well said.
All right, but now I also want to say that I get that some casual people that play on Standard all the time, this could be a turn off, because even on Standard it's harder. So I don't really know what to say to those people other than just keep trying, because the precons are not very good, let's be honest, and some people that just want to play the precons are going to have a bad time into this box. But yeah, so if you don't have anything else, I want to hit this Venom spoiler article we got.
The only other thing I would say, if you want to play against this, then you might just need to do rookie mode to give yourself the best chance. Just do stage 1.
Yeah, that's fair. Go for that. Alright, so Venom was announced in an article like a week or two ago, right? And I don't know how you feel about it, but I'm pretty excited about it. I'm stoked.
Flash Thompson is the best Venom, in my opinion. I know that there's a big run on Eddie Brock becoming a symbiote god right now, but I love it. I'm a Flash Thompson fan.
Yeah, basically, there's this storyline going on in the comics right now called the King in Black. That goes with what you're referring to. But yeah, so Flash Thompson as Agent Venom. So the traits on Venom are Guardian and Space Knight, which is awesome. He's got a 1 Thor, 2 attack, 2 defense. He can control 1 additional upgrade that is restricted. And he has the ability on his hero side, Symbiotic Bond. Resource, take 1 damage, generate a wild resource once per phase. I mean, This is the first hero we're seeing that uses his actual health pool as a resource, as a literal resource. So that's a mechanic I'm glad they're exploring.
Yeah, I like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's Afro right there. What about... we'll just hit like one or two cards from his kit. Do you have any that you want to touch on specifically that they showed?
I think the one you were hinting at earlier is the... not one from his kit, but the side holster is just going to also unlock a lot of potential for Rocket, because it just allows you to control another restricted weapon, which is interesting wording. But for Flash Thompson's kit, I mean, I just like consistency. Obviously, going to be run. He has an event called Locked and Loaded, which is an action. Search your deck for a weapon upgrade, and add it to your hand. Shuffle your deck. 0 cost event. Find you whatever you need.
Right, and his alter ego has a setup ability that discards cards until you find a weapon. So you have 2 ways, to filter through your deck to find those cards you want.
And always going to have resources to play them because you got an amazing ability.
Yeah, that ability's so good. I'm super excited for Grasping Tendrils. Just like it's basically a 2-cost webbed up. Like if a villain has a force interrupt when they attack, that'll still go off. But Grasping Tendrils just says no thanks. So Grasping Tendrils, 2-cost event, hero interrupt, defense. When the villain initiates an attack against you, you cancel that attack. If you paid for this card using only physical resources, stun the villain. So it's like a 2-cost webbed up. Because you're always going to have at least one of those physical resources available to you in the villain phase with the symbiotic bond ability. So you just got to find a physical somewhere else. Which isn't, going to be hard to do.
That is easily the most powerful card you've seen in his kit. That card's incredible.
Doesn't do you a whole bunch of good against all them stalwart enemies we've been seeing, but it still cancels the attack. So when Ronan's hitting you for 27 with 17 boost stock cards and everything, you can still have a chance to survive. Yeah, I just wanted to touch on Venom because I'm excited for Venom. I have an eternal dibs card on Venom, and I don't think I'll play another hero until Moon Knight eventually comes out.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time. I mean, all the Oscar Isaac stuff coming out, all the videos of him doing like Krav Maga and stuff.
I hope. What would be hilarious to me is if we get like the Age of Khonshu, like the Phoenix Force Moon Knight, and just be like everything dies. It would never happen.
Way overpowered.
Yeah, it would never happen.
Yeah, I doubt they'll go that version.
No, because it was like half an issue. But yeah, it was just funny to me that he had the Phoenix Force for half an issue. It's just so ridiculous. All right, so do you?
Oh, here comes the rain here now.
Oh, you're getting it now?
Yeah.
All right, so I guess we'll jump into some questions now. Let me see these. All right, so Conspiracy, long time listener, number 3. Appreciate you. If you could choose 5 villains and 2 heroes to bring into a campaign box, who are you taking?
If you can use, what is it? Oh, I got to find that question again. If you could each choose 5 villains and 2 heroes to bring into the game campaign box. So does he mean existing villains, or is he saying like build your own campaign box?
I think he's build your own campaign box, and I think we might go to the same place on this. Maybe.
All right. Well, I'm not going to go the Thanos route. I'm going to go Fantastic Four.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go. So.
Okay, I was going to go like the Jonathan Hickman crap. I was just going to go right to that. So the heroes would be... This will be the second Fantastic Four box. So I'll let you take the first one, and then I'll build off of that. Go ahead, Banana.
I would do Johnny and Ben. Are you okay? Do I need to call Life Alert?
I'm alright. I just dropped my phone. We don't
All right.
have any smoke detectors going off today either.
Okay. I would probably do like Johnny and Ben in a box. And then the villains I would do like Mole Man, Namor, probably another version of Kang. It would lead up to Doctor Doom. And then
It always leads to Doctor Doom.
yeah, it always leads to Doctor Doom. At his wedding. That's where I'd go. What about you? You would have 27 different Reed Richards, right?
Yeah, well, that's going to be the fourth villain. Will be the Council of Reeds.
You'd have the Maker, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, the Maker's in there. Council of Reeds. We'll probably have the Celestials from the multiverse. Yeah, we're just going totally ridiculous right now. We'll get a Doom in there. We'll throw a Doom in early, like lobotomized Doom.
It's
army.
just then you find out it's just a Doom bot, right?
Anybody that's not read Jonathan Hickman's Fantastic Four run has no idea what I'm talking about right now. They also there's a big Negative Zone arc in that, so we can throw that in.
You could fight in a pocket universe.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the heroes are going to be Franklin Richards and future Franklin Richards. Because why not? I'm going crazy with this one.
Yeah, sure.
This is my one that'll never happen.
Yeah. All right, I'm good with it. He also wants to know what's your go-to villain encounter / difficulty when testing a new deck. I always do Expert Claw with the Temporal Modular set because I like fighting a T-Rex.
That's nice. I like that one. That's a good palate cleanser.
Yeah, it's like a good solid. Like you can lose to it if the boosts go the right way because there's a lot of quick strike and stuff in there. So, yeah, Claw with Temporal.
I just play too much Claw to the point where it's like when I'm testing, I'm not always I'm also playing. I'm not playing just to test. I'm playing for enjoyment too. So I'll typically crank up the difficulty a little bit. So I find myself going back to Red Skull a lot for tests with crazy modular sets.
Okay.
That's kind of where I end up going. But they're usually tougher modular sets, so it's usually not the best testing ground.
Like Master of Time or the Anachronauts, right?
Sometimes I throw those in there and it's not fun.
I can't wait to have the Anachronauts with the Badoon.
Oh man,
with
that's
Drang.
awesome.
Yeah, we're gonna do that at our next league. Question number 3 from Conspiracy. We had Avengers, now Guardians. Which team do you think or hope will be introduced next?
I'm not going to say Fantastic Four because I'm going to go more obscure. I'm going to go Infinity Watch.
Okay.
Take it. Give me Pip the Troll, baby.
Yeah, let's do it. I hear everyone's search engine's firing up right now.
Adam Warlock is all I really want, though.
I'm going to say I want more champion support, right? We have one champion's hero. We have Miss Marvel. They need to go back and flush that team out more.
Yeah, that's a good call. But we did get an influx of allies for them. So I kind of was getting the impression that we might revisit that sooner.
I hope so, man. Because I'd like getting a Brawn here, another take on the Hulk. Would be cool. That is a 5 hand size on the hero side because he's smart, right? Yeah, I mean, I think flushing out the heroes. If they don't flush out champions, the next team, I don't know. Marvel Knights. Give me Moon Knight. Give me Blade. Give me some Morbius action. The Punisher. Right? Who else can we throw in there? Daredevil counts. Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll go that route.
Ghost Rider. Does he count as that?
Yeah, sure. Why not? I'm not too strict on my roster here. Drop It Like It's Hut. For those who haven't followed recent releases and want a quick catch-up, what's the most important hero pack to have come out since Hulk?
Oof.
So I guess we're not counting the Rise of Red Skull box. So it would just be basically all the heroes since the 4 heroes that came out after the box. I'm trying to think
of what card, like what aspect cards come with what, because that really should factor in. And I almost want to say Scarlet Witch, because I feel like Justice got a lot of great tools in that, and she's also just really. I'm just going to say that, yeah. That'll be mine.
I think it's either... Yeah, because like aggression's pretty fleshed out after Hulk, like at that point. And if you skip the box, Wasp, in my opinion, doesn't add a whole lot. Leadership, like the Ant-Man cards have some really strong leadership cards.
Mm-hmm.
But like if you missed the cards that came in Hawkeye, like Ant-Man might be good. But the Quicksilver, I mean, they're just... All of them but Wasp are pretty much solid. You said Scarlet Witch, so I'll skip on that one, and I'll say Ant-Man for the leadership cards, because it flushes out a whole like archetype of Voltron allies. So I'll say Ant-Man. Bruno Corelli. I used to play solo. It was fun. After Wasp and Ant-Man came out, I switched, and now I only play two-handed solo. It has completely changed my life and the way I feel about the game. That he really just said it changes the way he feels about the game. In a great way. Thoughts, plus I can play Miss Marvel every single game if I want. Miss Marvel for life. hashtag. So, do you have any experience playing two-handed solo?
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I mean, I prefer to play just 2 players whenever I can, but the game functions cleaner at 2 and 3 players, or cleanest at 2 and 3 players. I would say equally at those 2 levels. And then I feel like at solo, the game loses something. Just the math isn't quite right in some ways. In some ways it's for the hero, in some ways it's against. And then it's just a different game. It just doesn't feel as true to itself, though. And then at 4 players, I just think being a little unwieldy and assuming with how many things are going on isn't ideal either. So I think two-handed solo is the way to play if you're playing solo.
So I'll just quick to add on to that. I actually did a guest spot on the Alter Egos podcast maybe about a year ago with Remedy, and it was talking about the differences between two-handed solo and like just straight up normal solo. So if interested on more deeper dives into that, I would recommend finding that podcast episode. But yeah, when I play, if I'm not playing with someone else, I'm playing two-handed solo. Playing with 2 heroes allows you to deck build in combos, right? So you can try to do wonky stuff like, 100 damage She-Hulk turns. You can do others. Trying to figure out how I want to explain this, that it makes sense to people. The whole call for actions part of the game, you lose in solo, right? So that's a whole part of the game. It's an interactive part when you're playing with other people, figuring out, talking through your turns together, trying to figure out, I'm in this spot, can you do this to help me out? Like getting rid of a guard minion so someone can hit the villain really big. You can't do that in solo, you're just stuck with that guard minion. So stuff like that you lose in solo, so I think that's why I prefer two-handed, because it feels like a more real representation of the game and the way it was designed to be played. I think 2 to 3 players is the real sweet spot for the game, and I think most people would agree with that. Mr. Ben, are the folks complaining about how hard Galaxy's Most Wanted is bad players, or do they just need to get good?
Mr. Ben is a straight shooter. I don't think that they're. I couldn't tell you. I've never played with probably anyone that's complaining about it. But I think that if I had to guess, most of the issues would stem from the fact that as human beings, we are resistant to change, specifically with things that we're trying to gather enjoyment from. So I think it's more of a I don't like change. What are you doing to my game kind of thing when it's actually long term probably going to be what people wanted, in my opinion.
All right, that's fine. I don't have anything else to add to that. I think I pretty much already answered that earlier. I don't have any other questions, so we'll move into Flame On, right? So this is a segment I think we did once. I actually don't know if you were even on that episode.
Okay.
I think it might have been me, Stephen Kennedy Hawk. It might have been that episode, but it was. I think
it was.
I think it was like
I listened to it.
It's like a segment I decided to do where people could post hot takes. We'd call it Flame On to give it some Marvel flair to it, and then we would just like a quick yes or no, buy or sell, love or hate type of go on the take. So I'm digging through the archives since we have like months of Flame On takes we haven't gotten to. I thought about doing like a CarCast version of the hot takes with the Flame On, but I didn't think it would be fun doing it by myself. So here we go. The first one is from Americano. The Wasp Pack is a better purchase than Ant-Man.
No.
Yep, hard sell.
All right, so I'm just saying buy or sell. Is that it?
Yeah, buy or sell, hard no. I mean, that one doesn't really need any explanation. I think everybody knows it's full of crap. If any of it requires debate, we can go into it, but I think if we just both agree, then then we'll just move on. Conspiracy says Quicksilver is the most fun hero since the core set. I'll buy that. At the time he posted it.
Quicksilver's a blast. He's up there for me.
Yep. I mean, how many heroes can you OTK with, right? So,
yep.
Then he says protection is the best aspect. It's a hard sell.
Yeah, I like protection, but no.
Playing as She-Hulk is less painful than painting Crisis Protocol minis.
I enjoy painting.
Hard sell. I'm going to ignore that one from Conspiracy. Okay, Kennedy Hawk says Crisis Protocol is just expensive hero clicks.
Oh, no. My misguided child, no. It's so wrong. HeroClix is way more expensive than Crisis Protocol because it's collectible, and to be competitive, you have to have an insane amount of cash and old figures, and as well as new figures, and keeping up with it's way more expensive.
Yeah, like Tommy's got his team, man.
Not a good game. Not a good game.
Tommy's got his team. He's set. He's got
I'm set, man.
He's got 9-point Thanos. What are you gonna do? Nothing.
That's it. Answer the question.
HeroClix. Mr. Ben said, every hero being playable does not mean every hero has to be good. That's a good take. I like that take.
Yeah, I will buy that up.
So I had one that didn't really have to go with this game, but just like more competitive, like CCGs. You can't claim to be anti-meta when you run meta decks. So there's this podcast that does stuff for Versus System 2 PCG, and I've been like getting caught up on like podcasts, catching up. And these guys, they claim to be anti-meta deck builders. But then they play all the meta decks, so it doesn't make sense to me. So that's where that came from.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Let's see. Patropak says, I don't like Moon Knight as a character. I think the revamp was cool for a second. Afterwards, I think I'd rather he just hunt werewolves. That is a hard sell, terrible take.
No, I'm buying that up.
Oh,
buy that up just to piss you off.
All All right, moving on. Vardane says Doctor Doom is a coward and Taskmaster is better.
What's wrong with him?
I think Paste Pot Pete's a better villain than Taskmaster, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, no. Doctor Doom is like, he might be number one. Like, even as a Uber Thanos fan, Doctor Doom is like just iconic.
There's a reason he's our logo, right?
Yeah.
And it's because he's awesome. All right, so Patra Peg has another one. Heroes should not have been designed with signature allies. This is interesting.
I could get behind that.
Man. So I'm gonna sell that. I don't hate the take, but I'm gonna sell because I think the idea of the signature allies is cool and unique. That it adds like a more powerful like ally to your deck. But I do like what they're doing with like Rocket and Groot, where they're basic instead.
What if you could do the thing, it used to be in the old verse, I don't remember if you can pump in new verse because I haven't played that in a long time. I've actually played the old one more recently. But you could discard a copy of a card that was already in play or just something that shared the same name to basically up all of its stats by 1. What if you could do that with the ally to the hero in this game? So, like, you know, I'm Spider-Woman playing with the Captain Marvel. Probably not the best example, but I can, you know, maybe play the Captain Marvel for free as an upgrade on the Captain, give her a static +1 to all her stats.
Yeah, that could work.
Too good? Not good enough? I don't know.
We'd have to test it and find out.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting.
Yeah. Here's one from...
It would almost give you incentive to team up with the person that is your signature ally.
Yeah, I mean, that might actually work a lot because you got the Captain Marvel Spider-Woman thing, right? So, not being able to play those allies really sucks for Spider-Woman. Not so much for Captain Marvel, but like Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, like, neither of those allies are, like, game-breakingly good, but it still sucks not being able to play them.
Yeah, neither of them are bad. They're just not,
right,
like, build around.
Right. So that'd be interesting to see. Here's one from Kennedy Hawk from January. People on Discord are not the target audience of Marvel Champions. And they should get over it.
I'll buy it.
Yeah, I think I buy too. I mean, the most vocal part of the community and the community that's on Discord is not what the stated target audience for the game is, which is the more easily accessible casual fan that might not have even ever played a card game before. Which I think
Although, you know what? After Galaxy's Most Wanted, I'm not sure that's still true.
I think it was true for the core set.
It is. But I think Galaxy's Most Wanted is like something you should look up to.
Right. I think
that's okay to have that product, though.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Let's see if I can find it in the other one. This is great radio as I scroll through Discord. Marvel Champions. Alright, this was Kennedy Hawk. He rephrases that one. Marvel Champions isn't Lord of the Rings 2.0. Stop trying to make it that. Arkham greater than Champions. It's a hard sell for me. Sorry, Joe V. That's an old one. You probably don't even remember you said that.
Sell just on IP alone.
There's a lot of scrolling. All right, that's going to be it for now, I think.
Here's one from Tommy of Titan. Friends is a better show than Seinfeld.
That's a hard sell. That is the most overrated television show of all time. I would rather watch The Bachelor than watch Friends.
Oh, no, you did not. Oh, my God. Oh,
Like, if I'm scrolling through the TV guide, right, for Xfinity, and I see Friends, I never think, oh, shoot, let me jump in. But every time I see Seinfeld, I'm like, oh, man, let's go back in.
I don't know. I mean, I like Seinfeld a lot, but you're underselling Friends. Friends is classic. It's great.
It's classically overrated.
Sticking to it. Nah, it's amazing.
It's just
Plus, it's a show I can watch with my wife.
It's just the early 2000 versions of the Big Bang Theory. That's all it is. Big Bang Theory.
Have you seen either of these two shows? Or
Yes.
are you just making this up on the fly?
No, listen, I own all the seasons of Big Bang Theory on DVD, and I will tell you that
Really?
that show is overrated.
Huh. I just meant from like that comparison. Like the other shows aren't that similar.
No, they're not similar at all. But they're both overrated. That's because
Big Bang is overrated. Friends is classic.
classically overrated. It's the worst coffee shop I've ever seen.
It's the most unrealistic.
Yeah.
The couch is always free.
All right. That's it for me, man. Do you got anything else?
No, I'm good.
I think this was good.
I'll be looking forward to seeing my Jonathan Hickman Fantastic Four
Campaign box
in the near future with the two heroes of the 616 Franklin Richards and future Franklin Richards.
I look forward to when we get a Namor villain scenario in a campaign box, and then a Namor hero pack shortly after.
Perfect.
And a Doctor Doom scenario where every time you think you've defeated Doom, it was actually a Doom bot, and here comes another version of Doom.
Yeah, I thought for sure once you said you were going Fantastic Four, I thought for sure your box was going to be just 5 Dooms and everyone's a Doom bot.
Everyone's a Doom bot. No, because I mean, I would personally love that, but I could see how that would not be cool.
Well, I didn't know we were trying to be cool. I probably wouldn't. I picked.
Yeah. I mean, I have some other
Neither
stuff.
of us picked Galactus either.
Listen,
We
man,
both
I don't.
picked Fantastic Four. No one picked Galactus.
If you picked, I don't think you can pick Doom and Galactus at the same time, just because I think I view them both like on an equal level, even though I don't really know that I should. But like, if I have a Doom box, I don't know that I want Galactus in that box. But that's just me.
You gotta have. You probably go Doom and then Galactus like a Kang level encounter. Just like you make it and just pull out all the stops and make it wild.
Right.
Just huge swing for the fence. Because you need more cards for that kind of encounter.
I mean, Galactus is.
And then you could have like a Herald in each different modular set. Like you could have a Herald, like 3 different mods with different Heralds and things like that. Be awesome.
Yeah, because they're not all good like Silver Surfer.
No.
For what it's worth, Versus System 2 PCG does that whole Heralds of Galactus and Galactus. Like the theme and design is like so on point with those. That's just an aside. That game has me excited just because the theme is so on point. Like even if the mechanics are so crazy, like Franklin Richards, he creates a pocket universe in game. So it's like its whole separate game area.
That's ridiculous.
Like, yeah, like it's ridiculous and it's crazy, but the theme, like it's so good because the theme is there.
It's accurate.
Yeah, so there's some cards that do some crazy stuff, like Mr. Ben always, like Wyatt Wingfoot always gets him going because just the theme behind him is crazy. But yeah, enough about Versus System on our Champions podcast. Do you have any closing thoughts or closing arguments for both our listeners?
No, I don't think so. I think I'm good. Friends is better.
No soup for you. Well, for Tommy of Titan, I'm BananaCrapshoot. As always, stay scheming, champions.
Are you ever not going to fall for that?
that was good, right? What's this button?
Sure.
Do?